Play ball. Hot off the press, handicappers from Wager Talk, SportsMemo, and the Gold Sheet have collaborated on the 2023 Wager Talk Media MLB Betting Guide. From World Series odds to regular season win totals and everything in between, this year's betting guide features previews on all 30 teams, all 6 divisions, and season-long awards like the Cy Young, MVP, and Rookie of the Year. Each preview contains key roster acquisitions and departures to help you get up to speed before opening day. Visit wt.buzz/MLB23 to download your free guide, and we'll see you in the batter's box.
Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show, powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as handicapper on SportsMemo.com. At handicapper Sports on Twitter, I'll be joined by Moneyline Matt here to break down the 2 NBA playoff games that are happening today. But before we get into those games, I do want to talk about what we got going on over at SportsMemo.com. It is $9 Monday. All picks and packages on the site are just $9 from your favorite Sports Memo handicapper. We got a ton of stuff up already, NBA, MLB, NHL, some soccer as well that I've seen on the site. We also got the free live odds page on the site, the deals page. Cappers provide free picks and analysis on a daily basis as well, along with their daily packages that they do have up for sale. But other than that, guys, it only takes an email address to sign up and you get a lot of that access for free. Also, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you go. It only takes a couple clicks and it helps our show grow tremendously. With that said, let's get Matt up here with me. What is up, Matt? You got a new background. I just noticed that you got a new background in the back there. How's everything going, Matt? I think I heard the NBA playoffs have been treating you well, especially this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I'm back in the Wager Talk office, so that's why you see the background behind me right now. But yeah, it was another great weekend. Went 5-1. Actually, the only play that I lost on was the Cavaliers money line yesterday. And looking back, I'm honestly not sure why I took that. That Cavs bench absolutely sucks. I'm kind of done with the Cavs. I think the Knicks are going to secure this series. I think the Cavs will take the next game, but then after that, the Knicks will take it in 6, in my personal opinion. But all in all, another great weekend. We closed out a 5-unit play with the Sixers series spread. And honestly, looking back, I wish I would have taken more series spreads. I think me and you both had a very good grasp on how a lot of these series were going to go. You know, like the Los Angeles Lakers, they were an underdog coming in. The Knicks, another underdog coming in. Even the Sacramento Kings, you could have got 2.5 games with them. And you're able to parlay a lot of these too, so you can get some pretty good odds. And looking back, I definitely wish I would have attacked it maybe just a little bit harder, but round 2 is going to be coming up. Me and you are going to be back on it like always. So ready to break it down once again, as always.
Yeah, I think for me, the NBA has been pretty strong here, especially in the postseason. Up 20 over 22 units right now in the playoffs alone. So hopefully we just continue doing that. I think we're reading the board pretty well. And now that the NBA has meaningful basketball, we can kind of take the numbers and situational spots a little bit more seriously than the regular season. But with that said, let's get into this first game here. We got the Bucks and the Heat. Man, the Heat lead the series 2-1 here. It's been a pretty much a zigzag series since game 1. Giannis has missed the last 2 games, but they did before like this morning, they did announce that Giannis is available to play. Barring any setbacks, he should be in the lineup tonight. Two in a row here means that I feel like, I don't know, game 2, obviously I took the Bucks game 2. They ended up winning game 3. I don't know if Giannis is like truly hurt or the Bucks maybe just wanted to give him some rest and they were overconfident after beating them in game 2. But for the most part, a little bit worried about Giannis's health coming into this game here. Matt, man, what is your thoughts on this game specifically on the betting side?
Yeah, I'll be honest. In this game, it is one of the harder games to read. And to a lot of your points that you had, a lot of it revolves around Giannis. How many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to be hindered by that injury at all? Is he going to have a minutes restriction? Anything along those lines? Because for one, you look at this series, and it's been a lot more high scoring than you probably would have thought coming in. twice they've gone over 100 or 245 total points. They've gone over 220 in every single matchup. And I actually think with Giannis coming in, it could start to limit the offense a little bit more just because he locks down that middle so well, along with Brooke Lopez, things of that nature. And, you go and you look at the Miami Heat side, this is a team right now that really only has Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, you would assume that Giannis could match up with Jimmy and Brooke Lopez could match up with Bam. And you could really limit this Miami Heat team. When you're looking at the bench and you have guys like Max Strus, you got guys like Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, all decent pieces. Okay, okay. But not a team that you're really going to see put up over 120 points consistently. And especially now that Giannis is back and now that Brooke is back, this is still a game that I really don't want to touch. There's just too many moving parts for me here. But if I were to go anywhere, it definitely would be with the Bucks tonight, because with this Heat lineup, I believe they've been overperforming. I think a lot of people think that. And I do think they're going to have one of those games where they score 95 points, 100 points, something along those lines, because they just don't have that offense that can consistently put out that type of numbers, that type of output. And if Jimmy Butler has an off game, I just don't think they have the surrounding cast to come in and get it done. So for me, once again, I would be with the Milwaukee Bucks. I lean the Bucks here. Probably won't be an official play for me, but one that might be an official play is the Giannis rebounds. Once again, it's at 10.5 rebounds, which is a lower number. I expect this game to be slower, some more shots to be missed than in 1, 2, or 3. So because of that, I think Giannis does have a good opportunity. It is one of those plays that it does have a slight bit of risk to it, just because there's a question mark next to Giannis and his minutes. But Ron, to your point, I think what you said about just being overly cautious, thinking they could just go out and handle the Heat without Giannis, I personally think that's why Giannis sat. They want to give him an extra day, just a little more rest. Now he comes into game 4, probably a little bit better off here. And I think we'll see at least 32 minutes from him. So I think if he gets 32 minutes, he can get 11 rebounds tonight. So that's actually where I'm going to be looking in this spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes some sense here. I mean, and obviously Giannis is the most important part of capping this game here. One thing I did look at was how the Bucks do in the first game back after Giannis misses at least one game, and so this goes back to like 2017, dude. 36 and 20 straight up, but just 25, 30 and 1 against the spread. Also 33, 21 and 2 to the over. So it looks like this is a situational spot where you think that the Bucks should be able to win this game and maybe get over their team total for the most part. But if we look at it, from a playoff specifically, from a playoff angle specifically, first game back off missing at least one game in the playoffs, definitely a smaller sample size. But the Bucks are 4-3 straight up, just 2-5 against the spread, and 4-3 to the under. So a little bit, as far as the total goes, it's on the opposite end. The thing that makes this game specifically different, though, this is the first time in the playoffs where they're behind with Giannis coming back from missing a game. So motivationally, it should be on the Bucks side to get it done, right? I feel like the Bucks went into game 3 feeling a little bit confident after beating the Heat easily in game 2 without Giannis. Now Giannis is back, and you touched on how he impacts the game on the defensive side of the ball. I looked at the Bucks specifically this season on the road with and without Giannis, and their defensive rating is 3 points better with him in the lineup. So that's a pretty significant gap if you add in the pace of play and things like that. I expect a letdown offensively from the Heat side after shooting pretty much lights out in game 3. The Heat were consistently bottom 10 in the league throughout the season when it came to offensive efficiency. And that includes the second half when they were actually scoring a little bit more. And you take away Tyler Herro, I just don't see them consistently. Like you said, I can't see them consistently hitting at this type of rate offensively. I think the Bucks get it done here. I think both sides of the ball as well, on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball, I think they're going to show up. Bucks, I would say Bucks win and cover. I think it's possible the Bucks go over their team total and the Heat go under their team total, to be honest. That's the way that I see this going. So from a total aspect, maybe I could say that from a full game aspect, maybe it would go under just slightly. But if you focus on the team totals, if you want to pivot that way, Bucks team total over and the Heat team total under. There's a bunch of ways to look at it. But again, this is all kind of just speculating with how Giannis is going to play and the minutes that he's going to play. But if we're just looking at the total steaming up, I think I want to say he might be limited tonight, especially if they get it done pretty easily. He probably
Yeah.
is going to have limited minutes in the second half for the most part. One thing I wanted to ask you from a prop perspective, Matt, is you know, Middleton and Drew Holiday. So Middleton, he's gone over his rebounds and assists, and his number today is 10.5. He went over this number in all three games so far this series, but obviously game 2 and 3, Giannis wasn't there. With him coming back, his prop rebounds and assists is 10.5. Do you still think he can get over that, or do you think with Giannis coming back that brings him down a little bit? The other person is Drew Holiday. His rebounds and assists is 12.5. He had 23 rebounds and assists in game one. That was
Yeah.
with Giannis. 16 in game two, then only 8 in game three. Maybe like a bounce back look with Drew there. What are
Mm.
your thoughts on those two guys with specifically rebounds and assists? Because I was looking at both of those to make them possibly a premium play.
Yeah, I think it's a good point by you for sure. With Chris Middleton, I would more so be looking at, I guess what I would say is with Chris Middleton, I would more so be looking at unders. And with Drew Holiday, I would actually be looking at overs just because when Chris Middleton
Hmm.
comes in and Giannis is out, he actually takes up some of that rebounding distribution on top of that. So he's a big rebounder. And one of those guys, I mean, obviously when Giannis comes in, he's the top rebounder on the team. So a lot more are going to be going his way. Chris Middleton is someone who can facilitate, though. He is someone who does do a good job and passing out of the post up game and stuff like that. So, from an assist perspective, I would still be interested in Chris Middleton just because someone like Giannis, with the cuts to the basket, with the dribble handoff, stuff like that, you can get such easy assists with him sometimes. It definitely depends on the game flow and what's going on. And, kind of like we discussed, I think it's going to be a slower game. So, if I'm looking anywhere today, it might be rebounds. Just because you're talking about the Miami Heat team total under. I think that's a great look as well. When you said that kind of hit close to home with me. And because I do think this is going to be a Heat team that underperforms today. I think they've overperformed to this point in the series. And as for Drew Holiday, again, you mentioned it, the bounce back. I love playing bounce back spots. Drew Holiday went out and had 3 assists in Game 3, which is something that he
Hmm.
just doesn't do very often. And then once again, with Giannis coming back, you get those alley oops back in the picture. You get those dribble handoffs. You get those just bounce passes. So many different things that Giannis brings to the table that any other player throughout the league just doesn't have. And if this Heat team does get sloppy, if they start taking longer 3-pointers, longer rebounds, then you get out in transition. That's where Drew Holiday makes his money, getting out in transition, finding the right guy, knocking down those shots. And, one last thing, again, going back to this Miami Heat team, I do think this is going to be a game where they don't put up as many points. They miss more shots than usual. And Drew Holiday is actually a very good rebounding guard. Okay, so for me, I would actually be looking at Drew Holiday today over Chris Middleton. I think Chris Middleton, we all have those people who have just burned you in the past, whether it be a player prop, same game parlay, anything like that. Chris Middleton has burned me so many times, so he's just one of those guys that I kind of just X out. So for me, I would be Drew
Yeah, yeah.
Holiday, and I'd be looking at like Giannis with the rebounds, like I said.
Yeah, I like that Drew look. I think I'm gonna look into it a little bit more, but that would be the way that I go for the most part. That over 12.5. Definitely a bounce back game on the assist prop. I mean, he just had 3. He game 1 and game 2, he went all out. I mean, 16 in game 1, 16 rebounds and assists in game 1. Sorry, 2. 23 rebounds and assists in game 1, and then all of a sudden he just gets 8. Definitely a bounce back spot there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next game here, the Grizzlies and the Lakers tonight. Lakers lead the series 2-1. This one also a zigzag since game 1. Lakers took game 3 with a dominant first quarter, 35-9 in the first quarter. They did end up only winning by 10 points. I think maybe mainly because they kind of let go of the gas pedal later in the game. Ja had a huge game. He's going to need a lot of support for them to have any chance of winning this game tonight, though, Matt. What do you think? First, do you have anything on a betting angle here? And you mean obviously I just mentioned having a huge game in game 3. Who do you think shows up for the Grizzlies tonight other than Ja? Like who should be able to step up?
In all honesty, the guys that I think need to step up are one going to be Desmond Bain because he's going to have the best
For
matchup out of
sure.
anyone.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson is, matched up with Anthony Davis, who has been playing absolutely lights out defensively. The thing is with Anthony Davis, even when he's having an off offensive night and not scoring as much as usual, he is so dominant in the paint that he affects the game every single possession. So for me, I think it's a lot tougher for Jaren Jackson because Jaren Jackson to go out and have a good game, he needs to stretch the floor. He needs to hit some of those 3-point shots. He really doesn't hit a bunch of mid-range shots. It's literally either the 3-point or he's around the basket trying to do some post-up moves, stuff like that. So for me, Desmond Bain has the far better matchup here. John Morant is going to get the best defender from the Lakers, whether that be, I don't think they would match up Vanderbilt with him, but they could. But he's going to get the best guard defender, and because that, Desmond Bain is going to get that secondary guy. And to this point in time, Desmond Bain has been kind of underwhelming in this series. And Desmond Bain is one of those guys. He can go out and get you 30. He can go out and facilitate as well, get rebounds. He can do a lot of things, and the Grizzlies really need him to come out and do that. And another guy that I'm looking at, and this is kind of a more of a low-key guy, is Tyus Jones. I think Tyus Jones needs to take advantage coming off that bench because he's going to be going against someone like Dennis Schroeder or, that Lakers secondary unit. And when LeBron James and Anthony Davis are off the court, that's where you need to try and make up ground or to extend a lead against the Lakers, things like that. And Tyus Jones is potentially the best backup point guard throughout the entire league, could be a starting point guard on a lot of teams. He's definitely a guy who can go out, get you 15 points. If he goes out, gets 15 points, 5 assists, I am with the Grizzlies 100%. I think the Grizzlies would win this game. So I do think those two guys are the key ones. In game one, I was with the Lakers, just with the -4.5, just because of the fact that, me and you've touched on this many times. When a star comes right back into that lineup, it's generally tough. And you saw it in that first quarter, second quarter, that Grizzlies team came out really flat. When you come out flat like that in the first quarter, in the first half, whatever it may be, the next game, I expect you to come out on fire. So I actually do like maybe a Memphis Grizzlies, maybe a first quarter look, maybe a first half look. I'm actually kind of waiting on this spread to see what way it moves. I actually think it could potentially get to maybe a +5 because I think a lot of the people really love the look of the Lakers right now. And I do understand that. The Lakers look great. They obviously the sexy team with LeBron, AD, D'Angelo Russell. They have the nice bench to fill it out. But this is still a very good Grizzlies team. So if they're getting 5 points, it would be hard for me not to back the Grizzlies in this spot.
Yeah, I like a lot of the stuff that you just brought up, especially Tyus Jones. Obviously, I mean, he's been one of the best backup point guards, right? Especially from the assist to turnover ratio. He had 2 turnovers in the last game. You don't see that often from him, so I expect a bounce back game from him. Specifically, my best bet for the show is actually on this game. So before I go into that breakdown, Matt, I do want to ask you a couple of questions. You touched on Tyus Jones. He was the one guy that I was going to ask you about, but the other guy on the Lakers side who's been playing really well is Rui Hachimura. And I noticed that from game one down to game three, his points have come down slightly, right? Every single game, it has come down a little bit. Do we finally get to the point where we can look at unders for him? I know the other thing, too, he's hit at least 2 threes in every single game of the series as well. And his 3-point prop is 1.5. So there was a couple ways that I was looking at Rui was maybe he still gets that two threes, right? To get over that 1.5 threes, but under on his PRA for the most part. It seems like it just continues to go down in production game after game.
Yeah, I'd be 100% with you with the under there. Rui has been actually, it's funny. Rui's been one of those guys I've been betting on since he was a Washington Wizard, whether it be with the DFS, whether it be, SGPs, anything like that, because he is one of those guys who's very much boom or bust. I thought he was a very underrated player coming out of the Washington Wizards. Honestly, a great pickup by the Lakers. And, he's kind of proven it throughout the playoffs. But to your point, this Los Angeles Lakers team is deep enough where they're going to go with the hot hand. If Rui Hachimura comes out in the first half and has a 1-for-4 shooting, 1-for-5 shooting, it's not like they just have to stick with Rui Hachimura. They can go with Jared Vanderbilt. They can give Malik Beasley extended minutes. And Malik Beasley has done nothing. Okay, so and there's usually one game he's going to come out and get 10 points, get 15 points, something along those lines. this could be that game. And if in fact that does occur, Rui is the one who comes out and Malik is the one who's pushed in. And again, to your point, Ron, Rui actually took the spot of Jared Vanderbilt and Malik. So again, these guys can get that spot right back. It's just really going with the hot hand, which you definitely have to understand. With the 2 threes, though, I do like the look of that because with this Lakers team at this point in time, you can't leave LeBron alone. You can't leave Anthony Davis alone. Austin Reeves has definitely become someone that you can't leave alone. So because of that, Rui Hachimura is going to get his looks. But with big bodies like LeBron, who's been getting 8+ rebounds a game, Anthony Davis just came off, I think, a 14 rebound game. Jared Vanderbilt, a very good rebounder. So it's kind of one of those spots where it just depends kind of what way the ball goes. If it goes to Rui every single time, obviously he's going to get it. But if these are 50-50 balls between Rui and Hachimura, Rui and Jared Vanderbilt, stuff like that, then I'm going to go with those guys. So I'm 100% with you here. I think the Rui under is a very good look. Rui is a very streaky shooter. You can even go back and look at his Washington Wizards day. He's always had a solid post-up game. He's always had a solid mid-range game. It's actually that three-point shooting, his three-point shot that's kind of up and down. It's like a roller coaster. So this could be one of those spots. I think he'll get the attempts. If he hits them, I don't know. But I definitely like your look of the under there. What do you know what the number was for the PRA?
Last time I saw it was 19 and a half. That's what I saw.
Okay.
This morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, man, my best bet, like I said, is on this game for the show. The best bet for the show is on this game. So I'll just get straight into that one. It is the team total of the Lakers under. These two teams have faced each other 6 times this season now. 5 of the games have gone under from a full game aspect. The Grizzlies specifically have gone under their team total in 5 of the 6 games. One of the games they went over. They went over by a single point, but I'm focusing more so on the Lakers side here, specifically just because of the situational spot here, right? They're down on the series as being the second or third seed, the better seed in the series. And historically, I looked at that, but from just a numbers aspect, bettors are automatically running to the over because of pace of play, but these teams match up well defensively, and neither team were in the top 10 in offensive rating after the All-Star break either. So it's not like they're in good form offensively. The Grizzlies got the defensive player of the year. On the season, the Grizzlies were 3rd in defensive rating, and after the All-Star break, they were both in the top 10. So I can't talk anyone off of the full game under itself, but like I said, I'm focusing more so on that Lakers team total here. One thing that a lot of people are probably going to look at is the Grizzlies as road dogs. I think that trend's been shown on Twitter a lot lately. Right now, they're 0-16 as road dogs this season straight up, including 2-14 against the spread, right? But obviously from a situational aspect, that doesn't look good for them. But if you look at it from a playoff view, dating back to last season, the Grizzlies are 4-2 straight up, 5-1 against the spread, 5-1 to the under when they're behind in the series. And we talked about, throughout the whole regular season, we talked about the coaching and what they do to adjust from game to game. And I think they have one of the best coaching staffs, to be honest, in the NBA. And in those games specifically, when they're in the playoffs, when they're behind in the series, those 6 games where they went 5-1 to the under, 5-1 against the spread, they kept their opponent under their team total by almost double digits in every single one of those games. I think that's what happens here today. I think the Lakers team total under is probably the spot for me. Whether they win or not, I don't know, but I know that they're going to work on the defensive side of the ball to limit the Lakers to give them a chance to win. That would be my best bet for today's show. It is 113 at the current moment. If the spread keeps going up and the total keeps going up, if you want to wait, you could probably get another half point or so maybe on that. But I like that team total under 113. I think the last 4 or 5 matchups between the Grizzlies and the Lakers, they've only gone over that number once, and that was game 1 of the NBA of the series. Of the playoff series, and they had 6 days of rest. So you would expect a little bit better offensive efficiency from both teams. So that would be the way that I go. Matt, what is your best bet for today's show, and what do you got going on the premium side as well?
Yeah, guys, over at the premium side today, I am going to have a play on this game, the Lakers and the Grizzlies. That's going to be the spot that I'm looking at here. Not really loving the Heat and the Bucks once again. If I do play anything, like I said, it will be that Giannis rebounds. I think that is the spot that, if there's anything in this game, that has a little bit of value. But another spot that I found, or I feel like I found some value, is actually going to be with Anthony Davis today. And it's going to be Anthony Davis over 3.5 blocks at plus money. And, one of the reasons that I really do like this play, again, you guys have heard me talk about the absence of Steven Adams. You've heard me talk about the absence of Brandon Clark. And now this Memphis Grizzlies team has to run Xavier Tillman, who's actually been playing pretty good this series, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. at the center position. And what happens when that occurs is you're going to be matched up with Anthony Davis in the paint. And Anthony Davis is far bigger than Xavier Tillman. He's far bigger than that of Jaren Jackson Jr. And to be honest, Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson aren't the smoothest in the post. They look to bully. Jaren Jackson kind of likes that little floater, stuff like that. And so far this series, Anthony Davis has really kind of had a great read on that. And he's been playing very good in this paint. He's hit this number in already 2 out of 3 games against the Lakers. And the games that he hit, he had 5 blocks and 7 blocks. So he has been absolutely dominating defensively in this paint so far this series. And with the Memphis Grizzlies, we know what Ja Morant likes to do. Ja Morant loves to attack the basket. He loves to get up, try and put a floater over you, try and run that little side hook, a little bit of everything. And if Anthony Davis is in that paint, then he has a great chance of blocking that. In addition to that, you have to mention Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is like a Russell Westbrook going to the basket sometimes. He's just going up there, praying for a foul, throwing it up. And if Anthony Davis is there, I really see him just absolutely gobbling those up. So for me, again, I really do like this look of Anthony Davis. This is someone who averaged over 2 blocks per game this entire season. His minutes are elevated now to around 40 minutes per game. This is a game that should be more competitive than last. You have to put into effect that the Grizzlies were blown out in the first half, embarrassed, still ended up losing by 10. So you got to imagine they're going to come in here with a better effort. Better effort is going to be more minutes for that of Anthony Davis, maybe a closer game coming down the stretch. And if that's the case, I love Anthony Davis's defense here. Anthony Davis's defense has actually been making this series, and I think it continues tonight. So I'm with Anthony Davis over 3.5 blocks in this spot.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, obviously the Grizzlies continue to attack the paint regardless. And you said Jaren Jackson is one of those guys. You know how like offensively, some guys they just get embarrassed when they get blocked. Jaren Jackson is one of those guys who go into the paint and he don't really care. You know what I mean? Like he just like whatever. Same thing with Ja.
Yeah.
I think those are the guys who just continue to attack, and those are the teams that you like to go get those blocks with. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I wanted to ask you about Anthony Davis's rebounds. I know he got 17 in the last game. In the regular season, he had like 20 in each of them against the Grizzlies. What are your thoughts on the rebounds with AD too?
Yeah, I looked at that as well. I believe he's at 13.5 right now. And, in all honesty, this is just another one of those spots where he should eat. Me and you've kind of discussed this throughout the entire show on how Anthony Davis, some games, likes to just come in, take a little nap. He doesn't really rebound that well. But this isn't going to be one of those spots. This is a playoff game. It's a do or die spot. The Lakers also know Memphis is going to come in fired up after the beatdown that they just took. And with Anthony Davis, even when me and you kind of forecasted this series, we talked about how Anthony Davis, not LeBron, not Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis was going to make this series because he had the mismatch with Xavier Tillman, with Jaren Jackson Jr. With both of those guys, he is far bigger. He's the far better rebounder. He's the far better defender. So really, the only thing that I could see keeping Anthony Davis from getting these rebounds or hitting this number is potentially getting in foul trouble. And I just don't exactly see that because Jaren Jackson, not the smoothest in the post. Xavier Tillman, definitely not the smoothest in the post. So I think he's going to be just fine. And I think as long as the Memphis Grizzlies don't hit every shot and have like 35-point quarters throughout, then those rebounds are going to be there. And I would expect Anthony Davis to go over this 13.5 point rebound total.
You know what's cool about that too, Matt, is when if AD gets the blocks and then grabs the ball right after, he gets the rebound as well. So so it goes hand in hand. So it makes a lot of sense here. With that said, today was a good show. We only had 2 games, but we went through them pretty detailed, Matt. Any last words before we cut out here? I just want to make sure you get everything out before we go.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is I don't know if anyone has checked out my Western Conference playoff guide and my Eastern Conference playoff guide, but a
Yes.
lot of really good calls in there so far. I had the Lakers, I had the Knicks in that one. I had the Kings plus 2.5. A lot of really good calls so far, and I'm going to continue to do that every single series. We'll have a round two preview for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, and I'll predict every single series. I'll give you my best bets in the series, whether that's the leading point scorer, assist getter, rebound guy, whatever it may be. I'm giving you some very simple, like even money or even money odds to crazy plus money odds, plus 500, stuff like that. So a little bit of everything, and it's just kind of something just good to look at before going into a playoff series, understanding what's going on, stuff like that. Completely free over at sportsmemo.com. All you got to do is download it.
Yeah, once again, guys, head over to sportsmemo.com. You can find myself there. You can find Matt's all of Matt's content as well. Check out all the amazing deals and promos we got going on over. Obviously, $9 Monday. I talked about that earlier. All picks and packages on the site are just $9. Before you go over there, too, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here on YouTube. With that said, guys, we will be back on Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the same channel. I believe we will have Jeff Michaels with us on Wednesday. Till then, guys, good luck with our reaction. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Play ball. Hot off the press, handicappers from Wager Talk, Sports Memo, and the Gold Sheet have collaborated on the 2023 Wager Talk Media MLB Betting Guide. From World Series odds to regular season win totals and everything in between, this year's betting guide features previews on all 30 teams, all 6 divisions, and season-long awards like the Cy Young, MVP, and Rookie of the Year. Each preview contains key roster acquisitions and departures to help you get up to speed before opening day. Visit wt.buzz/MLB23 to download your free guide, and we'll see you in the batter's box.